in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to start seeing people move their everyday finance operation, meaning like your normal bank account, payments, receiving your wage, direct debits, sending money to friends, receiving money. This is actually going to move on chain, but there's going to be an opportunity for people to be early adopters.
Hey folks, Flo here with Blockchain North, still at Futurist. I'm here with Jason, who's in on-chain payments, and maybe you could introduce yourself and then explain a little bit about on-chain payments.
Thank you, Flo. So my name is Jason. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Onchain Labs, and we focus primarily on, sounds redundant, but on on-chain payment infrastructure. And long story short, the simplest way of saying it is, a good example is, let's say you want to purchase an on-chain asset, which is defined as kind of a DeFi token generally. The path is not generally quite straight. There's a lot of complexities. There's a lot of friction. Your typical kind of user journey would be to on-ramp on a centralized exchange or use one of those private ramps like a MoonPay or a Transact to purchase gas, which could be ETH, could be Matic, could be BNB. And then you go like on a decentralized exchange.
So several steps.
Multiple steps. So ultimately our goal here is to abstract all of this from the kind of user experience to make it much easier and simpler. And fundamentally, I think, and we're strong believers of, if DeFi is going to truly be adopted by the general masses, it needs to be much simpler.
We say if. Do you have any doubt about it?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at Statista, which has a lot of data on blockchain and everything, most of the forward or optimistic data points on crypto comes from centralized experiences, like exchanges, rants, a lot of like NFT adoptions and things like that. But the reason why it's actually going up in terms of year over year is because the experience is highly controlled by centralized kind of entities. Now with DeFi, if you look at the growth rate year over year, the projected over the next 3 years is 0.3%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually flat, completely flat. And the reason is DeFi in its current state,
Still complicated?
it's not like, there are multiple angles to the reason why it faces difficulty with regards to scalability, but UX is primarily the one.
So what's the addressable market for your technology?
Well, at the end of the day, it's effectively all of TradFi when it moves to blockchain.
Okay.
Any type of payment, any type of value exchange, whether they're cross-border, whether they're in retail, whether they're online, every single transactions that currently happen on the various different rails that exist in TradFi, whether they're, card rails, whether they're like all of them, they will all migrate and they will all move on chain because it's just, orders of magnitude better in very different, various different angles.
Does that mean that your target market is more B2C than more B2B than B2C?
Yes and no. The thing is that we're kind of vertically integrated, meaning that we're focusing on the infrastructure because when we started entering that space, we wanted to, use the whole composability of DeFi. But what we started to find and to notice is that a lot of those pieces, they haven't been built for payments. So a lot of those aren't fast enough. The response isn't like, so there's a bunch of, so we started internalizing a lot of those components. And that's when we developed our own on-chain payment system. And from there, we build product and services on top of that. So you can see us almost as kind of, on one side, a Stripe that provides payment infrastructure to whoever. And on the back end, we're effectively like VisaNet, VisaNet, which is the backend infrastructure of Visa, the payment network, and we could cover why, but not too long ago, fiat was not interoperable. I remember, and we're old enough to have landed in a new country and gone to the currency exchange or carried in our secret pouch, traveler's checks, and because money wasn't interoperable back then.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the state of DeFi. DeFi, it's not that interoperable right now. Each blockchain has their own kind of currency, and when you want to start transacting in one versus another, you have to get prepared. You have to either bridge, buy the local gas. It's not seamless. And when Visa came to save the day, their unique promise was, and we see it still to this date, in airports, the promise, if you have this, you don't have to worry about it's accepted everywhere.
Yeah.
So they make your money interoperable anywhere. So the buyer doesn't have to think about it.
What's the latest development at Onchain Labs? Any announcements? Any exclusives? What's coming?
Well, you guys are probably not going to believe me, but one of the things that we kind of took it like a Hail Mary is that we kind of tried to trademark the word on-chain. Just as much as in the 90s and 2000, you had this migration that went online, and online was a 2-word with kind of a dash in between. And it's the same thing with on-chain. It has this dash, but without the dash as a single word, it's actually not in a dictionary. So it was trademarkable. So we applied for it a couple months ago, and it came back, and now on-chain is a registered trademark.
That you own?
That we own.
That's amazing. Doesn't that represent business opportunities in and of itself?
It's a massive business opportunity. I mean, we see this as something as important as being the center of, and also, I mean, I don't want to quote Superman, but with great power comes great responsibility. We've kind of put ourselves in a situation where we have to effectively represent the word. So that is a big undertaking, but we're uniquely positioned to actually represent the word. So we're excited about it. But yeah, the opportunity is massive. You think from an organic and SEO perspective, everything funnels towards the name. And if the meta narrative plays out and the word on-chain becomes an equivalent of online, it'll exist forever. So we're pretty excited about that. There's also 2 other things. One is we're about to bring to market what we call the on-chain ramp.
Okay.
So what the tagline, it's in the name, So it's a ramp that lets you on-chain basically buy any asset on-chain. So the problem that I was kind of painting the picture earlier, where you have to buy, gas, and then you have to go on-chain and swap and learn about all of those things, we've abstracted all of this, and now basically you'll be able to buy directly on-chain any asset with fiat.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
For sure. So right now you've got a lot of time and complexity.
Yeah, unlocking really scalability potential.
Yeah. And was there another announcement you said?
Well, I mean, this only happened this morning, so it's pretty...
Things come in 3, they say, right? So...
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely exclusive. Even most of the team, we do our all hands, on Wednesdays. They don't even know, but we've been, in the last 2 years, going through the whole patent of our payment system. And we've been writing claims, depositing, actually from a Toronto-based company, which are really, really good. And we received the news, basically, that our system is patentable. So essentially now we have a payment system that is proprietary to us that is patented. So that's a pretty big unlock.
That's amazing. So trademarks and patents, I feel like a theme in this conversation, perhaps even a title for this video.
Maybe, yeah.
At least somewhere in there. Finally, do you have any sort of future predictions? Is there anything that you're, so sure of, looking through your visionary lens, built based on what you work on and your convictions, let's say?
Well, I think one thing that I'm highly convinced about is that in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to start seeing people move their everyday finance operation, meaning like your normal bank account, like the operation that you do through that, like payments, receiving your wage, direct debits, sending money to friends, receiving money. This is actually going to move on chain.
Okay. 6 to 12 months. That's a very, very aggressive target.
I'm not saying that we're going to play a significant part into this, but
No. But it's just in general, 6 to 12 months. I mean, that's very fast.
Yeah, it's very fast, and I think the landscape is at a point where it can enable very early versions of this, but there's going to be an opportunity for people to be early adopters. So,
Hint.
Yeah. So we're definitely excited about that part. And it's going to change a lot of things to move your kind of daily, everyday finance on chain.
Yeah. Well, maybe the answers to how exactly are in the next episode.
Maybe.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
chatting with you.
Thank you.